What's going on, guys? So we're going to put all the players in the league who still aren't wearing a visor on the same team and see how good they would be. If you guys don't know, back in I think the 2013-2014 season, the NHL made it mandatory that you had to start wearing a visor. But if you're a player from before then, you were allowed to basically keep doing whatever you wanted. I think there's only about 20 or so guys, maybe 25, left in the league that don't wear a visor. So pretty much had just enough to build a team here. As you can see, that's our logo. I thought it was pretty fitting. Obviously, helmet, no visor. He's got the scars there. We're the Norway, no visors. I thought Norway sort of sounded like no way. Top players at the bottom there. We have Ryan O'Reilly. Bruda, he's an alumni goalie. He's like the oldest alumni goalie that actually doesn't have a helmet, so I figured that kind of fit. He's 105 years old, I think. And then Jamie Benn there. So we actually do have some skill on this team. Pretty much no speed, though. I noticed all the fast players basically wear a visor. Now, for this video, I realized I just started out the Detroit Red Wings, but I actually want to sub out the LA Kings. They're the lowest rated team in the West, and I think they're actually, they're the second lowest rated team, only behind Ottawa, and most of the players on this team are actually from the Western Conference, plus I figured just to switch it up. So as you can see here, I just subbed out LA instead. We actually have a pretty decent rating, 86 overall, makes us tied for second in the Pacific with Arizona, San Jose, and Vancouver, behind only the Vegas Golden Knights there. So I feel like we should have a pretty decent shot at the playoffs. And look at the settings here, as always. I'm going to turn everything off except for salary cap and computer trades. Also, too, guys, I've been wanting to change the setting where it's the higher scoring setting, but for this video, I'm still going to leave it off because our team is pretty defensive, so I feel like if I make it the higher scoring, we're going to have absolutely no chance. So I'm going to leave it the same for now, but the next one, whatever video it is, definitely going to try that out and see what happens. And next, you guys, I'll show you what this team's looking like. As you can see there, team status is contenders, so like I said, I feel like we have a decent shot making the playoffs. First line's honestly pretty solid. We got Jamie Benn, Ryan O'Reilly, and Ryan Getzlaf. So O'Reilly's actually the youngest player in the league that's not wearing a visor. I think he was like the first age group that's allowed to not still wear one. 20 years old, so I think there's like a couple other 20-year-old players on this team. Most of them, though, are 30 plus, but again, that first line there actually has a decent amount of skill. You'll see, though, there's like no speed at all on this team. Second line there, we got Wayne Simmons, who actually used to wear a visor and started not wearing one, so we kind of went the opposite way of most guys in the league, but obviously added a decent player for us. Joe Thornton there, 40 years old. He can do whatever he wants. And then Zach Kassian, he's actually one of the other 28 years old on this team without a visor. Reeves, Boyle, and Shaw there on the third line. And then we got Chris Stewart, Zach Smith, and Matt Martin on the fourth line. I think Smith sometimes wears it, but usually doesn't, so hopefully that's alright with you guys. As you can see, 3 of the 4 lines getting +1 chemistry, which is really nice. Defense here, we got Chara and Bufflin on the top pair, getting +1. Now, Bufflin obviously isn't playing right now, but still under contract, might come back. I'm counting him, plus really need his help on D here. Bogosian and Jordy Benn on the second pair, so we got both Benn brothers, and then Erickson and Englund on the bottom pair. As you can see, mostly like defensive defensemen here that aren't wearing a visor for whatever reason. I think most of the guys just like it for like vision. Sometimes the visor fogs up, whatever. Now, obviously, goalies can't wear visors, so what I decided to do was have a goalie that doesn't wear a helmet as our starter. Decided to go with Walter Broda there. He's actually the oldest goalie in the game, as I mentioned before, 105 years old. I could have went with like Sawchuk, Plot, or Bauer, but I feel like they're all way too high rated. They're like 94, 92 overall. So whereas Broda's an 89, which I thought was a lot more fair, as the highest rated player on this team is Ryan O'Reilly, who is also 89. So I figured try and make it so the goalie is no higher rated than the actual highest rated player on this team. And then backing him up here, I got Vilmer. Hope that's how you say his name. Honestly, decided to kind of mix it up. So the starter has no helmet, and then the backup there has just a mask. And in the picture that you can see, he's actually got it on. And it's looking a little like, I don't know, creepy. Like, that's a hardcore mask. Kind of reminds me of like the Jason mask there. So again, decided to be kind of creative with it. Also, too, I'll actually show you guys right now, every single player here in-game, you can see does not wear a visor. Decided to go through and check all of that. Now, a couple of them I saw were wrong. Simmons still had his visor on, and I think Zach Smith, they also had wearing a visor. Again, I think he's like 50-50, so that's not too far off, but obviously make sure to take it off for both those guys. So on the ice, our entire team, no visor. Our goalie, not going to have a helmet, so should be looking pretty good. Also, too, in case you guys just missed it there, as I went through all those players, the captains of this team decided to go with the guy who should be the last player in the league and not wearing a visor. That's Ryan O'Reilly. Will be kind of interesting, I think, to see him when he's like, 35 years old, 7 years from now, and the only guy in the league not wearing a visor. It'll be like Craig McDavish when he was the only guy in the league not wearing a helmet. The 2 A's there, Getzlaf and Benn. Probably going to be 2 of the other guys, longest in the league, not wearing a visor. I'm curious if anyone else will go the way of Wayne Simmons, though, where if they're old enough that they're allowed to stop wearing one, will they do that for whatever reason? I'm thinking maybe a guy like Shea Weber, Ryan Suter, who are elite defensemen, used to not wear it, started to wear it, maybe for whatever reason they go back to not wearing one. And a few things I wanted to point out, guys, when looking at the players, you'll notice Char actually goes off the screen, like he's just that tall. I just thought that was kind of funny. Also, too, Brian Boyle there, looks nothing like Brian Boyle. I'm not sure if he even has that goatee. If he does, it looks so wrong. And also too, Matt Martin here at the very end, he got a haircut. Yeah, they still have him rocking the long hair, and it looks so strange. It looks kind of like the Predator hair. Like, it just, something about it just looks way off. Not to mention the fact it's way shorter now, but I don't know, I noticed those 3 things and had to share them with you guys. Also want to show you guys the ratings for this team. You can see from the build, this team are very defensive, so probably going to be a lot of low-scoring games. And yeah, look at that. 83 offense, one of the lowest offense I've ever had for one of these teams. 88 defense is pretty solid, and then 92 goaltending. Also, you guys can see the jerseys there. The away, the home. Decided to go with red, blue, and yellow. Just kind of mix it up. Color scheme I don't usually use. As well, I think the logo, obviously, is pretty relevant. Doesn't really match that great, but definitely, you know, it fits. Also, too, we actually have that alternate there, the all yellow. Not a big fan of that. And I almost forgot to you guys, we actually had some extra players that don't wear visors that didn't quite make our NHL team. So, show you those guys on the AHL team quick. Obviously, no one too great if they didn't make this team, but still wanted to kind of mention them. So, Milan Lucic there playing first line in the AHL. Didn't quite make the NHL team between him and Matt Martin. I felt like Martin was actually a little bit better. Lucic is just so slow there, 81 speed. Second line there is actually all no visors. You got Michael Haley, Cody McLeod, Zach Ronaldo. Definitely like a grind line there, Bash Brothers, I don't know what you want to call them, but they're actually getting +3. And then defense here, we got Rowan Polak as well as Dalton Prout. So, again, there's actually still, you know, what was that? I think 26 players exactly, or minus the 2 goalies, so 24 players exactly. I feel like if a few guys retire or just no longer playing in the NHL, we won't be able to make this video next year, so definitely want to do it right now. But without further ado, guys, we'll get started with the sim here again. I think we have a chance at the playoffs. I'm a little bit worried about how good our offense is, but we'll see what happens. And a pretty big trade just went down, guys. Minnesota getting a first, second, third, and Dallin from San Jose. First, Eric Stahl, Brad Hunt, a third and a fifth. As you can see here, we're actually a couple weeks away from the trade deadline. A little over 500, 26, 23, and 6. I think like November-ish was actually our best record. We were like second or third in the division. What's Carolina get a first-round pick there for Hala and TVR. I'm actually not exactly sure where we are in the division right now. Gotta wait for it to come back. So we're fifth there. 5 points, I think, back there. Wild card spot. Obviously, a couple losses there not going to help. We definitely had a rough kind of like December it started, but January was pretty bad. Broussard there goes for third or fourth. Sorella, lots of offers coming in. We're actually, yeah, we're 500 right on. So I don't know, this team, the no visor team, there's no injuries on. It's not like we're getting injured over the season or anything, but we've lost like 4 straight. Tanner to Pittsburgh with Levo for a first and a third. Hamus will decline that. Actually, how many losses is that? There's 1 win there, but like 6 of 7 losses. Fleury there to Columbus for Savard, third. Hannakainen. Again, yeah, we were doing pretty well. We were, back in October, November. I guess not October, that's the start of the season, but back in November, even into December, we were in a playoff spot. And the team is starting to fall apart here. What is this? How many losses is that? 4, 5, 6, 8 straight losses. And look at this, guys. We go back to our game against the Hurricanes on January 11th and start from there. We are 2-15 since then. That's gotta be the worst in the league. I don't get how we went from being, playoff team in November to like middle of the pack, December, January, and then 2-15. Like, that is probably one of the worst streaks I've ever seen. Let's see, how's the team doing here? O'Reilly, he's actually pretty good. Almost a point per game there. He's got 56. And we're actually, I thought 60 was playoffs, it's not, 71. So the fact that we're actually only 12 points out of a playoff spot after going 2-15 is not too bad. Also, too, I actually remembered, I forgot to show you guys the special teams in case you guys are kind of curious here. The first unit there is actually like pretty solid, I think. The second, not really. The rest of them, they're okay, but I don't know why we just had such a bad losing streak. That's really weird. So we're not the end of the season here, guys. Unfortunately, I simmed a couple days extra, so you can't see the standings, but we did not pull off a miracle and somehow squeak into the playoffs. Ryan O'Reilly there, finished not too bad, 70 points in 82 games. Honestly, for O'Reilly, that's a pretty solid year. Next year, we'll take a look at how everyone else did on this team again. I didn't really expect us to be too high scoring. Ben there, 68, I would say is around average. He might actually get less than that this year in real life. Getzlaff 65 is about, what he's been getting the past few years. Thornton there still puts up 50 at 40. That's not too bad. Simmons at 40. Bufflin 37 is a D-man. I'll take that. Shaw there 35. Boyle, Cassian. So, again, yeah, not too bad. Char had 30 actually as well, which is pretty surprising to be honest. Jordy Ben 25. It's a lot for him. So, definitely like this was kind of scoring by committee. Worst guy there, Erickson, 10 points still. Really not too bad. Now, goaltending, curious to see how these guys did. So, Broda there, 27 and 30, a .919 at 2.53. That's actually pretty good stats. It's the backup there who had a better record at 10 and 8, but his stats were worse, a .9 and a 3.0 goals against. So, Definitely not on the goaltending. The goaltenders are pretty good, especially Broda there. I hope that's how you say his name. I guess we just did not score enough for them. And quickly here too, we'll actually check the AHL players. So Ferk there, 47 points. I don't know if you guys saw that. He actually broke the hardest shot record. The AHL All-Star game was kind of crazy. Lucic had 46 in the AHL. McLeod, Haley almost had 40. Where was the other guy? Ronaldo at 25 playing second line. So that's okay, I guess. We'll take a look here and see what the leading score was in the entire league. And it goes to Crosby, 106. Actually tied McDavid, same amount of goals. So I'm not even sure what the tiebreaker is there for... Because Art Ross, I think the tiebreaker, there isn't one. And then Maurice Richard, there might not be one either. So are they sharing Maurice Richard? Or no, sorry, Malkin there's 46. I didn't even notice that. But I think they're sharing the Art Ross, which is pretty cool. And Line actually, though, 47 is going to be getting the Maurice Richard. So next we'll take a look at how we did in terms of the standings. I'm also curious to see... just like the goals for, were we really that low scoring? I saw we actually did finish 500, 37, 37, and 8, so 51 percentage there right on. What was our point total there? 82, so we averaged a point per game. You know, we were better than average in terms of the ratings, but looking at our team, I felt like we had an average team. Florida actually wins the Presidents there, okay. So we'll see where we finish the entire league. Probably like 20, 21, I'm going to guess. Okay, we were close. 22 there. Actually tied with the Buffalo Sabres. Who finished last in the entire league? Anaheim Ducks, 64 points. Rough year for them. So, goals for, I feel like we were pretty low. I want to look at the bottom here. Yeah, we had the least goals for in the entire league, 208. So, really not helping our goaltenders at all. But then goals against, I feel like we were decent. Yeah, we tied Chicago there. So, we're tied with like 7th or 8th. Kind of exactly what we expected. So, I'll spend the rest of the year here, see, you know, what happens. But overall, you can see, like I mentioned, most of the guys who still aren't wearing visors aren't really that skilled players. We had basically one skilled line there, a couple decent defensemen. Like I said before, even though our team had a decent rating, I'm really not too surprised by the results. Hopefully now we can at least take home a couple trophies. Maybe O'Reilly gets a Selke, and one of our defensemen can get like the Bill Masterton. And the large results are in here, guys. Columbus picking first overall. I feel like that's one we don't usually see. Anaheim, Ottawa there, second, third. Tampa Bay fourth via Vancouver. Penguins win the Stanley Cup. I mean, Crosby and Malkin both had huge years, so... honestly, if they both go off in the playoffs this year, could definitely see that happening. I really like, honestly, Pittsburgh every year. It's hard to bet against Crosby, in my opinion. So, quick look here at the playoff tree. They swept Tampa there. Tampa always getting swept in the Eastern Conference Final. Then they actually beat the Sharks in the Stanley Cup Final. I don't think the Sharks are even going to sniff the playoffs this year, which really sucks for them as Ottawa has their first-round pick. So, we already know all the team awards there, player awards. Art Ross went to McDavid. So, we actually got it over Crosby. I'm not sure what the tiebreaker was. Could probably look that up. Crosby, though, gets the Hart Trophy, so they kind of even it out. Torrey Krug gets James Norris. Crosby also got the Lady Byng. Kakko gets the Calder. Malkin, Conn Smythe. So, yeah, Pittsburgh cleaned up. Riddick gets Vezina. That's pretty surprising. Rask, though, had the William Jennings, so I'm surprised they didn't just give him the Vezina. Alexiak, Bill Masterton. I thought maybe we could get that. Hopefully, you know, fingers crossed we get the Selke. Jack Adams, Red Wings coach. If the Red Wings made the playoffs, then he deserves that. I didn't actually notice if they did or not. We'll have to check. O'Reilly does get the Selke. That's not our O'Reilly, though. O'Reilly on the Blues. Are you kidding me? Crosby also got Ted Lindsay there. And then Line, we know, got the Maurice Richard. So just check a couple things, guys. As you can see, the Red Wings did make the playoffs. They lost to Pittsburgh in the first round, who, of course, went on to win the Cup. So in that case, I think Blashill definitely would deserve the Jack Adams. Also, too, I looked up the Art Ross tiebreaker, and what I thought was the tiebreaker I was right about. It was most goals, which they tied in. But then after most goals, it goes to the player that scored first. So McDavid won the Art Ross because he scored first, which... I think at that point you just make it a tie, but whatever. So that's going to be it, guys, for this video. Definitely an interesting one. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, leave that thumbs up. As always, guys, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do that. Thank you so much for watching. Have a nice day. Goodbye.